Hello and welcome to today's webinar on accelerating DevOps collaboration with Sauce Labs and JIRA with Jack Moxon, Sauce Labs Product Manager. Jack will showcase our JIRA integration, which is one of our most requested integrations, and will show how simple it is to use with the Sauce Labs admin console and testing. Hi, my name is Ken Drachnik, and I'll be moderating today's session. You can contact me in the chat panel or in the Q&A box if you're having any technical issues or questions. The Q&A panel, and that's typically kind of on the lower right-hand side of your screen, is also the best place to submit questions you have for Jack as he goes through his presentation. We'll get to as many questions as we can either during the presentation or in the last 10 to 15 minutes of the time that it takes to go through this webinar today. We aren't expecting us to take a very long time, probably about 30 minutes, so we appreciate your patience as we go through our presentation this morning. A couple of housekeeping things. Due to privacy concerns, you won't see anyone in the attendees panel, but you can rest assured that we probably have hundreds of people who will be attending and viewing this webinar today. And lastly, we are recording this, so if you have colleagues that want to view this event, if you want to watch it offline at some better time, once it's ready, we'll bundle up the recording and send this off to everybody who registered for the webinar this morning. All right, so let's get started. So this morning we have Jack Moxon. He's been a product manager with us. He's been at Sauce Labs for about 4 years now in a variety of roles. A lot of expertise and experience in both testing and automated testing, Selenium and Appium, and all the kinds of wonderful things we do here at Sauce Labs. Our agenda this morning is just a quick background on the software journey in DevOps. We know that the people who register for these webinars encompass a very wide range of experiences, from kind of novice people just beginning on their journey of automated testing on the way to DevOps, to people who are probably fully DevOps compliant and running in a very efficient manner that way. So we try and have content here that appeals to everyone across that spectrum. We'll talk a little bit about automated testing with Sauce, talk about JIRA, and then Jack will also demo our new JIRA plugin capabilities, and at the end we'll have time to get certainly to more questions and answers. You know, most organizations today are really on a journey to continuous integration, continuous delivery, or kind of DevOps, and we find that they go through 4 particular stages for most of the people that we talk to. If we look at the first one, it's pretty much Waterfall. And that's really the traditional method that most large companies use, and it was the traditional way of doing software for years, where you've got Dev, QA, and Ops are all operating in separate silos. They're characterized by very strict separation of duties. Pretty much everything is done manually. You have manual requirements, manual development, manual testing, and then this goes over the wall to some operations group that is not within the same organization that Dev and QA are located in. And typically, these kinds of companies doing waterfall development are looking at very long release cycles, typically either on a quarterly basis, semi-annual basis, or in some cases they do this once a year. And that's not really what we're focusing on today. We're trying to move those people up to the next stage, which we look at fast waterfall. And fast waterfall is where companies start adopting and looking at how do they begin their journey to agile. How do they start bringing Dev and QA closer together? How do they start in the very beginnings of automating processes? So we find these folks are the folks that begin to look at continuous integration servers like Jenkins and Bamboo, which is really your very first step, is automating that development and release process. Companies that are in fast waterfall tend to start breaking down the walls between DevOps and QA, and these folks tend to release a little more frequently than waterfall folks on kind of a monthly basis, maybe slightly more frequently that, but I think it's very difficult for folks that are in this traditional waterfall kind of trajectory development to release any more quickly than that. The next one is really, continuous integration. This is where we find most companies that we speak with really want to achieve some type of fully agile CI kind of development process. Most of the startup companies that we work with, or newer companies, are already here. They start with an agile mindset and they use agile methodologies to begin with. And a lot of companies, you find that maybe the web development and the web app folks are working in a waterfall or fast waterfall environment, but maybe the mobile folks are working in an agile environment because they started later and they started with kind of agile in mind. The Agile folks are typically all using some kind of CI server, whether that's, again, Jenkins, Bamboo, Microsoft VSTS, or some other one. So they have that automation in mind, and a lot of them are looking for the next step in automation, which is how do they automate testing. And once they automate testing, they look at how do they collaborate better and how do they share the results of testing much more efficiently so they can greatly accelerate that development process and reduce those cycles. And that's one of the impetus for us and for many of our users to ask us for this JIRA integration that we'll be talking about later on today, which is, how once you can automate your development cycle, you can automate your testing, then it's how do you accelerate that collaboration process between teams, sometimes very disparate teams that are located in different geographies, so they can share that testing information to accelerate the development process. And finally, kind of the holy grail is continuous delivery, right? This is where they fully automated the entire development process. Automated testing is common. Release cycles are now in the range of maybe once a day or multiple times a day. We have a number of customers of Soft Labs that are releasing up to 10 times a day, ensuring that their apps are always up to date and always have the latest capabilities, so that they can have some kind of competitive advantage within their business by having the most up-to-date features and the best capabilities within their application. So with that as kind of a background of where folks are with the journey across the DevOps, I'll turn it over to Jack to talk a little bit more about Soft Labs.
Thank you, Ken. Great to be here with everyone today. We'll get to the JIRA demo fairly quickly here, but I did want to just, for some of the new folks, talk a little bit about how SOS works and how that is going to tie into JIRA. So SOS is a fairly simple tool and very easy to get started and use. It's basically a cloud with which you can run your Selenium or Appium scripts on over 700 different browser operating system combinations, including mobile, everything there. So you can very simply have a Selenium or Appium script, and that's all open source technology. All you'll have to do is switch out one really line of code, which is pointing the script at Soft Labs rather than running on a local Selenium server. We have a bunch of Selenium servers sitting in the cloud. We have a bunch of virtual machines running on all different kinds of operating systems and different browsers that you can access and use to run your tests. And one of the benefits of being in the cloud is it's kind of instant access to these things. We also make sure that they're pristine, so there's never any sharing that goes on between customers. You can spin up a VM in a matter of seconds, run your tests, and then we actually destroy that VM immediately after. So everything goes there. You can improve the quality with massive coverage of your test, and then kind of most interestingly, you can increase the velocity by running tests in parallel. So many of you that may have worked with Selenium or Appium before, it's a great technology, makes it better, makes automation a much better experience than previous tools. However, Selenium can still be a little bit slow sometimes, and with a cloud service, you can run many tests in parallel, and we've had customers who had an automated regression suite that took 3 days. We bring that down to an hour, or we've had people with a couple hours get down to 5 minutes, and kind of that's a big part of the journey that Ken just walked through is moving into the DevOps continuous delivery holy grail part of that chart. You're going to get that. You want to get that build as fast as possible, and SOS is going to help you with that. And then this is where the JIRA plugin is going to come in. So once you've done all those tests, Soft Labs is a great interface for reviewing, debugging. We have logs, videos, screenshots, and the ability to share all those things. As you know, it's kind of one platform for all your testing needs: web automation, mobile automated testing. There's also manual testing. You can do JS unit testing, and then of course security kind of encompasses everything that we do. As I mentioned, parallel testing is huge, and as any webinar we have an opportunity to talk about continuous delivery, I think you absolutely have to talk about parallel testing. Testing in parallel is the thing that accelerates your release, and if you're running tests serially, everything is going to be slow, and you're not really unblocking the bottleneck that automation is designed to unblock. So you can see here in this chart an example of a test running serially. It might take 9 minutes. If we thread that out and run it in parallel on Soft Labs, that same suite of tests would take only 1 minute. And then, of course, detailed reports that let you analyze results. So after every test, Sauce Labs makes a full video of that test available, and people love this because, especially like Ken was talking about, for collaboration, it's really easy for you to say, this broke, and I can show you a test and a video of that breaking on the platform that it broke on. We also, take step-by-step commands, so you can see exactly all the commands that were issued. We also show you the logs and any metadata associated with that test, and it's all easily shareable across your entire organization. And so that's one of the main benefits of Sauce Labs. Now JIRA. So many of you probably work with JIRA. JIRA is sort of an amazing tool, and it's an amazing story. It dates back probably a little over 10 years now from when they got started. But it's a wonderful tool for tracking software development and issues, and it's a great way to collaborate with your team. So most people who are using this will have a backlog of tickets, a mix of user stories and bugs, and JIRA is the kind of place of record, right? So if, a lot of teams, if there's ever any dispute about what needs to be built or what the issues are, JIRA is where you go. And so it's very important that any tools that you use in continuous delivery tie in well with JIRA. And so what we're excited to release today, and which I'm about to demo for you, is a plugin that makes it really easy to just insert all that rich metadata, those videos, those screenshots, those tests directly into JIRA. So some of the benefits before I show you, with Sauce Labs for JIRA, you can save time when you're creating tickets. It makes it really easy to just directly from the interface click a button, and all of a sudden all that information gets uploaded into JIRA. It makes it easier to collaborate and share because, you can show a log, and show a video, that's all great. And one of my favorite things is that it's completely free. So you can download this in the Atlassian Marketplace. It went live today. So both in the Sauce UI, you'll see a place where you can download and install. You can also go ahead and go straight to the Atlassian Marketplace and install there. So without further ado, I thought I would show a quick demo. So let me share my screen. Okay, so here we are on the Sauce Labs dashboard. I have a bunch of automated builds, I've got automated tests, I've got some manual tests. The JIRA integration is very simple. So let's just say, I want to grab a test that I ran last week on Friday. You can see all the tests that I ran recently, but there was one that failed here that ran on Safari 9 on Mac. And so let's say I want to look at that in a little more detail. Looking at this, it's a very simple test on one of our guinea pig pages, which lets you do some basic Selenium testing. You can see screenshots of everything happening on the test. So they're launching the driver there. Pretty soon you'll see the page come up. You can see the email get typed in. There's also a video we could play if we wanted to. There's also logs here and a bunch of other kind of metadata. So let's say that I've identified, I've watched the video, I think it is a real bug, then what's my next step? Well, I want to create a JIRA issue. So you'll see now, this is brand new. For those that have installed the plugin, there's a brand new button here that says Create JIRA Issue. When I click this, I will be able to create an issue, and you can see it automatically loads a list of all my projects. And so, in this particular case, I'm going to create one under EcoDev, for example. I can all the feature types or issue types are listed here. So we'll call this one a bug. The title is the test name, but I can say Hello World Bug or something like that, and I can write a quick description. Bug identified in JIRA webinar, something like that. You can add whatever you like. And then I can attach things very easily here. So I can just say grab the current screenshot, grab the video, let's go to Sauce and Selenium logs, and then I click Create Ticket. And all this is kind of handled automatically. Once you've installed the plugin, it grabs all the kind of issue types and pre-populates things that need to be pre-populated. It shows you the fields are all the required fields that you may have customized in your JIRA. So some organizations or some projects have different fields that are required. Sauce will automatically surface those so you can fill those out. You'll now see that on my test details page, there's a link here to the ticket that I just created. If I cruise on over here to the eco section, you can see that the ticket that we just created is now there in JIRA. So hello world bug here, the description that I wrote, and there's also a link back to the test URL, a link back to the video if I want to watch it, and my screenshots are now attached. So I can see here's the Selenium Sandbox screenshot, and you can see that I has no focus. I can also look at the logs here, which is quite simple, and Selenium server logs as well. So this, as you can imagine, makes it really easy to then share this with a team member or someone maybe across the organization. Makes that a lot easier.
So Jack, what's involved in, you said when they install the plugin, so I imagine when they do that, they have to somehow put in their credentials for JIRA and something in the back end. Is that pretty straightforward to do, pretty easy?
Yeah, it is very straightforward. So if you go to that Atlassian Marketplace, you can download the plugin. It's very simple. You may need to ask your JIRA administrator to do that, since they're probably the one that has the permission to do it. Once you've done that, it's very simple. You just add the sauce username and access key. In JIRA, there's a nice field where you can say configure, add the username and access key. Shortly after that, you will see this button appear on your screen, and everything should go from there. If you do want to authenticate, we recommend just having the master account on Sauce Labs do it, because then all the sub accounts beneath that will also get access to the plugin.
So is this compatible with JIRA Cloud or on-site JIRA? Can everybody use this, or is there some other specific JIRA requirement you have to worry about?
Great question. So yeah, so this is using Atlassian Connect. So it's works with JIRA Cloud instances. So anyone who's using a JIRA Cloud instance will be able to use this. It's not yet available for on-prem users, but I believe Atlassian may be working to make it so that these extensions are also available on-prem. But right now it's just for cloud.
Cool. You want to talk about the other plugins we have as well? I know we have plugins for different CI servers.
Absolutely.
And all these plugins and extensions are free, right?
All these plugins and extensions are completely free. And one thing Sauce has tried to do is we understand that the continuous delivery process and pipeline requires a lot of tools. So Sauce tries to hook into as many of them as makes sense. So for example, on the continuous integration side, there are tools like Jenkins. Atlassian has its own CI server called Bamboo. TeamCity is a popular one. Microsoft has one called Visual Studio Team Services. So we've integrated with all of those different tools. So anyone that's looking to increase their velocity or make sure that their automated testing integrates well with their CI system, we have tools that do that. And they do things like automatically launch a secure tunnel. So if you're testing an application that is behind the firewall, you can have your CI system spin that up for you, launch the tunnel, send the traffic over the tunnel, and then shut it down after the build is done, so you don't have a persistent tunnel just open on your network.
Yeah, so that means when you say we have a plugin for Jenkins, Bamboo, and Microsoft, that means you can kind of do all that work from within the admin console of the CI server. You don't have to come back to
exactly, yeah,
Sauce admin console to do that, right?
Exactly.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah. So that's kind of we think of that as kind of the front end, and then this JIRA plugin is kind of after the testing. So that's kind of before, kicking off the test, running the test. You can also view results in those plugins. I think, Ken, you were mentioning that. So you can also see, a build in Jenkins. You can see these videos, screenshots. Everything is present there as well.
But you don't need a CI server to use the JIRA plugin, right?
No,
it's completely separate.
Yeah, you don't need
separate workflow.
Completely different workflow. We obviously recommend most people use CI server wherever possible, because it just tends to be something that makes your experience with automated testing much smoother. But you're right, it's absolutely not necessary, and I can even show I created an automated test, but I could go to one of my manual sessions here, and I could do the same thing. I could create a JIRA issue from there. So it doesn't have to be automated tests even, it can be manual tests as well.
So a question from the online was, does the plugin do kind of bi-directional updates, or is it pretty much just from sauce to JIRA? Does JIRA talk back to sauce and update tests as well?
Great question. So right now it's just from sauce to JIRA. We definitely have some ideas kind of for round 2 when we continue to add features to this plugin to make that sort of bi-directional. But right now it's just getting your metadata and your videos and screenshots into JIRA from sauce. That I should say, but you can see the ticket back in the sauce interface, right? So I think I showed that. You can see a link to the ticket here. I can show you in a second. So it does come back. So I can see that this test has now this ticket associated with it. Eco 1160.
Cool. There's a couple of questions. Will there be, someone asked if there's going to be a plugin for Rally as well?
Great question. Yeah, we're interested in doing something Rally. Yes, we could see something like that, like this. I don't have a timetable for it, but Sauce definitely wants to invest in all of the different ecosystem integrations that exist there in the CI/CD space.
Another question: do you see value in using JIRA, a JIRA story subtask resolution state to drive the CI process? Does that?
Say it again, or
the second question here.
I'm not sure I understand the question. I see value in using a story subtask resolution state to drive the CI process. I don't know if I understand the question.
Looks like changing states. Okay, well, that's Chris, and he can maybe give us a little more information on that as we get through a couple more of these questions. Someone asked a question kind of like defining CI/CD, kind of getting back to the whole DevOps workflow. Is there a good way to kind of define a pipeline, or what? How would you define a workflow, or maybe some tools that people would use to achieve CI/CD? Maybe that's the question they're asking.
Yeah, it's a great question, and there's really no simple answer. I think every single organization is going to have different requirements and different needs, and so there's really no one-size-fits-all approach that we can necessarily recommend. That being said, there are definitely some great tools out there that we see a lot of people having a lot of success with. So by far the most popular CI tool in the market today is open source. It's called Jenkins. I think most of you probably use it. I've seen some polls say something like 100% of organizations are using Jenkins in some capacity. So you may have Bamboo or TeamCity or Travis, but somewhere in the org, Jenkins is being used, and it's sort of ubiquitous in that way. So we've seen a lot of people have success using Jenkins. There's a lot of cool new developments going on with Jenkins, Jenkins 2.0 and Jenkins pipelines, which give even more flexibility to you as you want to create your own pipeline. So we think Jenkins is great. Tons of people are loving Travis right now, but we've also seen people using tools like Bamboo, Microsoft Visual Studio Team Services. It really just depends on what your tech stack is and what your team feels comfortable with.
Cool. The question about dashboards, I think we addressed that one. What dashboards do you use in automated testing?
Yeah, so here we use a couple. So at Sauce we use Jenkins. So we use the Sauce Jenkins plugin as kind of a dashboard. So one of the features of the Sauce Jenkins plugin is that it automatically kind of pulls your Sauce data back into Jenkins. So you can see everything in build by build in Jenkins, which a lot of people use. We also use our own dashboard. So you can see I have up here on Sauce, there's, this is a particular test, but I can look through this test. If I'm passing build information, I can go back and look at a history of builds that I've run, and I can see, builds that are passing, builds that have failed. I can click in and I can see, okay, I ran 144 tests in this build, but 36 of them failed. I can pull them up, and let's say I wanted to look at one specifically. Okay, let's say we've been having trouble with IE11 for some reason, and I can see quickly this is a test that failed, and I can watch videos, and I can create a JIRA ticket. So we kind of use our own UI as a big dashboard, but again, you can use the Sauce plugins for various CI servers as well.
There's a question here about can you attach the test results to an existing JIRA issue, or rather than creating a new ticket?
That's a great question. So for the first version of this, it's just creating a new ticket, though absolutely that is on our radar to let you associate test results with an existing ticket, but that's not there today, but we will be working on that in the future.
And there's a question, is there any chance that Sauce Labs can integrate with Zephyr for JIRA Cloud?
You know, to be honest, I'm not familiar with Zephyr, but yeah, we can look into it.
You know, it's a great place on Sauce Labs. We have a great place where people, existing customers, can submit product ideas and can vote on existing product ideas and suggestions that were suggested by other users of Sauce Labs. It's AHA Portal, I think it's called. Do you remember the?
Yeah, it's called AHA. So I believe the portal is, I can put it up here. I think if you go to saucelabs.ideas.aha.io, you can submit any features that you want to see. You can see kind of in real time where they are, so you can see some features are being evaluated, some are planned, some are future consideration. You can add something, and then other users can vote, and we can sort of see what the most popular ideas are. So again, saucelabs.ideas.aha.io.
Yeah, and that's one of the places we're trying to be fairly transparent in our product development process. So this is one of the inputs that product management takes towards developing new features and capabilities within the Sauce Labs products themselves. Well, I think, Jack, that about does it. I think questions are coming to an end here. So thanks very much, everyone online. Thanks very much for listening. We have some resources up here on this final slide. You can check out our docs on JIRA on the Sauce wiki. We have recorded this presentation today, and again, we will be sending out a link to the recording to everybody who registered for the event. Again, my name is Ken Drachnik. Thanks, everyone, for attending.